All right, welcome to Algebra 2, Lesson 3-8, Factorization Patterns. Today's date is Thursday, October 15th, 2020. It is a week before Gunner's surgery. For those of you watching this 10 years in the future, this is probably you, Gunner. Gunner, what are you doing in 10 years? Tell me. Okay. Objective. Who wants to read it? Wyatt, go for it.
Use perfect squares and difference of squares to factor more complex polynomials.
There it is. So it's only those two. I'm only doing perfect squares, only difference of squares. That's all you got to do today. And we've already talked about them, so let's talk about them more and in a harder sense. So this first one is what? Is that a perfect square or is it a difference of squares? Who knows? Who knows? There's Cohen. Who knows? What is this first one? One person knows. You got a 50-50 shot. Just raise your hand. You can get it wrong. It's okay. You participated. Is it a perfect square or is it a difference of squares? It's a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Jenny. Woo, she got it right. It's a perfect square, which means the second one, therefore, is Josie. Difference of squares. Okay. And I mean, it makes sense too. Difference of squares, that's a square. That's a square. There's a minus sign in between. If there was a plus sign in between, that would not work. It has to be a minus sign until you hit pre-calculus. Then I'll show you a trick to still factor. Okay, so now another quiet raised hand. And by the way, welcome, Cohen. We are on 3-8. Did you hear Gunner call you out? Yeah, and he laughed. He knows that it's true. Let me leave this there so we can just see you. All right, everyone gets to see Cohen now. He's in the top left. Okay, who can factor a squared plus 2ab plus b squared? Who's got it? Charles is already. No, we didn't participate yet. That doesn't count for the warm-up. Go, Charles.
Would it be a squared plus b squared?
So close.
Oh, a plus b squared.
There it is. A plus b in that quantity squared. Give me a fist of 5. How well do you remember this? What are your fist of 5s? If it's not at a 4 by today, by the end of today, I have failed as a teacher. I'm going to get everyone's 3 to a 4 if it isn't already there. If you're already at a 5, then even better. What if I changed this plus sign in between a squared and 2ab to a minus sign? What would it be then? Andres. What would be minus? If this sign right here turned into a minus, how does that affect how I factor? It's no longer a plus b squared, it's something else.
Yeah, I forgot.
You get to call it someone. No, it doesn't turn into a difference of squares yet, just by having a minus sign there. But Jade, now you get to call on someone. It doesn't. It actually switches to something else. Now, Charles, you get to call on someone. Wyatt, tell us. It would be a minus b. This sign right here, everyone circle it if you are writing down the notes with me. This sign right here matches that sign right there. They have to be the same sign. If the first one is a negative, the factored form is also a negative. All right, what about a squared minus b squared? Josie told us it's a difference of squares. How does that factor? And Jade said it, if you can remember what Jade said. Sergio. No order, yeah. Which one do you want to do first? Okay. A minus b. There it is. It's a difference of squares, and there's no two formulas that you have to memorize. It's just that one. Luckily, all the homework tonight is multiple choice. You don't actually have to do any typing. You have to do the thinking, just like you're doing the thinking for the notes right here if you're not taking notes, right? Example 1. Here we go.
Are you waiting?
No, he's paying attention and doing notes. Okay, so example number 1. What pattern would you use to factor? what pattern would you use to factor this 64x to the power of 6 minus 9? You have three choices. It's either a perfect square, A, it's either a difference of squares, B, or it's not either one of them, C. Hold up 1, 2, or 3. Everyone, hold up a number. You're going to guess if you don't know. Everyone guess. This thing right here, is it a difference of square, or is it a perfect square, difference of squares, or none of the above? Cohen, what are you holding up? Cohen, is it 1, 2, or 3? Is it A, B, or C?
Are you winning, son?
Yeah, it is 2. He's got it. All right, so it is a difference of squares. Look, it's a 64. 64 is a perfect square. If I take the square root of that, it's 8. X to the power of 6 is a perfect square. Anything that's even right here is a perfect square. And then 9 obviously is a perfect square. It's on our chart of squares up there. Okay, so the correct answer here is B. I can modify this question a little bit to give you a different answer. Are you guys ready for this? I'm going to change this 6, so 64x to the power of 7. Now the answer is not B. Now the answer is C. Yes, it is C. Next time, raise your hand. It has to be an even power. All right, let's try another one. You got it right, yes, but it's the breaking of rule. Yeah, the look that says you lost a point. All right, the pattern. What pattern would you use to factor? Example 2, this 100w to the power of 8 minus 140w to the power of 5 plus 49w squared. And this one is a little bit harder. You'll have to remember all the way back, what did we do to verify this middle term? I talked about it before. I'll help you get started. And I guess, well, guessing which one of these is not going to give me that much information. So I want to give you some beginning information. So I want to take the square root of this 100w to the power of 8. So square root, I need water, 100w to the power of 8. I didn't drink any water at lunch. I failed in my test. All right. Cool. 100w to the power of 8. When I take the square root, I'm left with what? Andres. It is 10w to the 4. Perfect. Yeah, you take the square root of the 100, you get 10. Square root of the w to the power of 8, which is really saying w to the power of 8 to the 1/2 power. Half of 8 is 4. All right, so that's the square root of the first term. Let's look at the last term, this 49w to the power of 2. I'm going to take the square root of 49w to the second power. Someone else. What is that? Who have I not heard from very much or at all? Kind of want to call on Sergio, but I'm going to call on Fernando. 7W, there it is. So, thank you. That means that our value of A, well, our A squared used to be 100w to the power of 8. When I take the square root, our value of A is 10w to the power of 4. Our value of B is 7w. Come look at our formula again. It's just barely right there. Can I zoom out a little bit? There you go. Our value of A right here, I guess right here, this A plus B squared factor form, this value of A, this value of A, actually, pointing around in the spot, sorry. Our middle term here, 2AB. I'm multiplying A times B, and then I double it. Remember when you're rocking your kid to sleep, I squared the first, doubled the product, and squared last. So what is doubling the product of 10w to the power of 4, 7w? Tell me the product first, then double it, and then third step, does that equal your middle term of negative 140w to the power of 5? Well, the negative doesn't really matter in that case. Does it equal 140w to the power of 5? Just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. I'm waiting on Josie, Jessica, Cohen, Gunnar. It is a thumbs up. Yes, it is. When I multiply w to the power of 4 w, I get w to the power of 5. Where are we? W to the power of 5. That's the middle term. When I have 10 times 7, that's 70. Double 70, 140. What's going on with the negative? Well, why is that negative? Who can tell me? Why is that negative? What does it mean? Yeah, what?
Because algebra said so.
Algebra said so, I guess. It affects whether it's going to be a plus or a minus, right? In this case, it's going to be a minus. All right, so everyone hold up the answers. A, B, or C, 1, 2, or 3. Everyone clearly sees, yep, answer is going to be 1, right, Cohen? Yep, 1. It's a perfect square. All right, let's move on to example number 3. What pattern would you use for this one? Y to the power 4 plus 81. It's either A, B, or C, 1, 2, or 3. Everyone's going to vote. You're just going to look at it and say, oh, yeah, I know which one that is. What's Cohen holding up? Nothing yet. Waiting on Jessica and Cohen. Okay. Cohen, what do you hold up? 2. I tricked everyone except for Jessica. The answer's 3. The answer's C.
That's what I said. That's cat though.
Oh, you just say 3? Okay, sorry. I tricked everyone except for Jessica and Jessica.
Isn't that cat?
There's no pattern that factors this. Now, who can explain why?
Oh.
You're a big O, but I'm calling it a silent hand. Yes.
Because it's a plus.
Exactly. It's a plus. This is not a difference of squares. This is a sum of squares, which is unfactorable to us Algebra 2 kids. Once we're a pre-calculus kid, then we can do this, but not yet. This is unfactorable so far. So the answer here is C. Circle C. Did I circle the last one? I did, okay. And then example 4. What pattern can we use to factor this one? Ooh, that looks hard. What do we do? It might be a perfect square. Because I see a 2a. It could be, but I have to verify it. What do? You square root the first, you square root the last, you multiply them together, and then you double it. Try doing that. You can do it on your paper if you have notes. You can do it in your head. You're trying to verify. If I square root the first, square the last, double the product, does it equal this middle term? If it's a yes, then the answer is going to be a 1. If it's a no, then the answer is going to be 3 and none of the above. It's definitely not a perfect square because there's 3 terms. Or not a, it's definitely not a difference of squares because there's 3 terms. All right, I see some people with 3s, some people with 1s, and a person that said 2 because why not, right? I'm giving you guys time to think. We'll go over in about 10 seconds. Make sure you really are thinking through this. The point of me not making or not forcing you to take notes is so you do more thinking. Okay, here we go. I'm going to take the square root of the first. So if I have z plus 1 quantity squared and I square root that, what am I left with? I need a quiet raised hand to help me. Jessica. So close. So the square and square root cancel each other out. Shrink, shrink, and I'm left with everything on the inside. Z plus 1. There it is. Thank you. And then I'm going to take the square root of the last term, a squared. And I get what? Cohen. He's got an alt tab from his game. Hold on. Wait for him, guys.
A? No, I was muted on my headset. It is an A.
It is A. I'm sorry. I don't mean to give you such a hard time. Okay, so we have our 2 terms. We have our A and our B. One of them, the B is A, which is kind of funny. There's our 2 terms. Multiply them together and then double it. A times the quantity of Z plus 1. Oh, look at this. A times the quantity of Z plus 1. Double it. This is indeed a double of the 2 square roots that are being multiplied. The correct answer here is 1 or A. Still not 2. Sorry, Andres. Once I do example 5, then I'm going to come back at as a fist of 5. I'm trying to show you as many types as I can. I can't show every single one because there's so many in the problem pool for Khan Academy. You just have to be careful. All right, example number 5. What about this one? What pattern would you use? Oh, what the heck? D, E, F. I don't know why they're mislabeled. Can we change them back to A, B, C, please?
Teacher.
A, B, C. Yeah, everyone log it, sure. Everyone, yeah. Come on, log your extra credit.
There's another one.
Yeah, those should be A, B, C. Every single time that you copy and paste the same brackets over and over, it automatically changes. And I try to remember to change it back, but forgot that one start. All right, so what do you guys notice about this one? I'll let you think for about 20-ish seconds. What form does it look like? Does it not look like any form? Then the answer would be C, or 3. Does it look like it's a perfect square, a difference of squares, none of the above? What are you thinking? When you're ready, you can hold up your hand with your fingers so I know that you've done your thinking. So the majority of people are cut in between 2 and 3. One person did a 1. It's not a 1 because perfect squares always have 3 rocks to rock our baby to sleep, right? Square the first, double the product, square the last, which means there should be 3 terms. I want to see 1, 2. So it can't be the first one. It's either 2 or 3, so the majority has it. But which one is it? I remember when I first saw this, well, I guess the first time I kind of saw this was in high school. I definitely thought it was C. The answer is B. Is there anyone that can raise their hand to explain why? Charles?
I believe that is a difference in squares because when like there's 2 different squares that are being subtracted.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bigger square, right? There's more on the inside. It's not just one number. It's m minus 4, but still look at the power. It's an even power. It's an 8. There's a minus sign in between the 2 terms, so it's a difference. And this one is also a square because that's an even power. If this was 7 or 3 or 1, yeah, it wouldn't be a square, but it's an even power. So that's a square. That's a square. Answer's B. All right, now we get in. So that was all one homework assignment. We're about to move on to the second homework assignment, which I consider to be easier. That was a hard one because it's really hard to know like what type of form to use. These ones will tell you, hey, it's this form, by the way. Go ahead and factor it. So give me a fist of 5 on examples 1 through 5. How well do you think you can do the homework? How successful do we think that Mr. Sandell is at teaching? Wow. Uh-oh. Okay. I was like, I think so. Every single person is a 4 or above. Very nice. Thank you, Cohen. All right, so let's move on to example number 6 and then 7, then we'll be done. Example number 6. We have x minus 6 squared plus 2y to the power of 5 times the quantity of x minus 6 plus y to the power of 10. I will tell you the form is u plus v squared. I even tell you there's a plus in between. You might have to figure out plus or minus. Yeah, that's a plus, so that's a plus. Okay. You need to tell me what is the value of u, what is the value of v, and then just basically fill it in here and you're done. So again, I'll let you guys do some thinking. What is the value of u? What is the value of v? If you need to, flip back to the front side of your notes to up here to the formulas. That might be helpful. I'll give you guys another 10 seconds to do u, and then we'll think again for v. Everyone's working on u. I think I've got everyone in. Gunnar, have I called on you yet today?
Yeah.
Okay. White, go for it.
Can I do the whole thing?
Nope, sorry, just you.
U would be just x, the quantity of x minus 6, because when you square the first, double the product, square the last, you're trying to square root the first, and the first is the quantity of x minus 6 squared. So the square root and the square cancel each other out, so you're just left with the quantity of x minus 6.
Yeah, that's perfect. And let me write out the formula so that everyone can see visually what you're saying. You're saying that this thing expands to u squared plus 2uv plus v squared. In order to get from this term, which we are given, to just normal u, you said take the square root, which is correct. That gets rid of the square, which means to get from this term, which is our u squared term, to our u, we also need to take the square root. taking the square root, the square and square root cancel each other out. Okay, let's try the next one. Now that y has kind of given us a framework, how do we do v? And if you think you're confident on 6 and 7, because they are easier questions, do them, and then you can start on Khan Academy a little bit earlier. Let's check. That was at 12:14, and it's 1:55, so go for it. V. What is my value of V? I want to see at least 5 hands, and then I'll call on someone. 1 hand, 2 hands. 2 hands. Wait for 3 more. Counter doesn't count. Wait for 3 more hands before I call on someone. What is the value of V? Remember that Wyatt, from x minus 6 squared to get to his u, he took the square root of this term. What are you going to do with the rest of this to try to get the value of V? I still at 2 hands. Wait for 3 more hands. I'll give a hint because I need more hands. Which one of these is an easy V to isolate? This one or this one? I would say that one is a little bit easier than this one. How do I get this last term back to normal V? What operation do I do?
We should now have 2 hands up now.
2 hands. That counts as 1. I'm sorry. I know that I said hands. It's a hand per person. Good job thinking outside the box, though. I still only see 2 hands. 3 hands. There's the third. 2 more hands. What operation do I do to get from V squared back to V? So y to the power 10, the same operation to get to V. 3 hands. Is that a hand? 4 hands, 1 more?
Okay, I'm putting my hand.
It still counts, yeah. I'll remember who it is.
I just put my hand up.
You did? Okay, go for it, Jade.
No, I mean, like, if I just put my hand up. So, because I don't know.
That, it just means I haven't given enough thinking time, I think, or maybe it's just too hard of a question. Maybe I was too ambitious. Okay, we'll go with 4 hands. Jose, talk to us. You do indeed? Oh, you don't have to double it because notice that in order to just get from V squared back to V, I just take the square root and I have V. So that means from y to the power of 10 back to V, the operation is square root. What is the square root of y to the power of 10? Y to the power of 5. And that is the hardest part. Now that we've done that hard part, we just plug them in. U is x minus 6. V is y to the power of 5. Plug it into the form that they gave you. Here we go. Factored form. U is this quantity. This used to be U right here. This used to be plus V squared. Now I'm going to do the substitution. This U is x minus 6. So I put x minus 6. This V is y to the power of 5. That's being plugged in here for this V. So I say plus, that's the plus sign that I copied down, right? Plus y to the power of 5. And then I take that to the power of 2, just in the formula. And I'm done. That is how I take this really gross and disgusting polynomial, and I factored it. Everyone try example 7 on your own.
I have a question on the other one.
Oh, yes.
What happened to the 2y with the power?
That you don't really need. That is the thing that you have to verify. Hey, to be a perfect square, I need to take the square root of y to the power of 10, take the square root of x minus 6 squared, multiply those 2 together, and then double it. That should be the middle term, and it is because it told us, hey, it is. That is the middle term is only used to verify that it is a perfect square. But it tells us right here, it is a perfect square, so you don't need to do the verification. Yeah, very good question. Which means on the homework, when you see something that has 1, 2, 3 terms, and it tells you, hey, it factors like this, ignore the middle term. You don't need it. That's a shortcut, and I feel bad about giving those shortcuts away, but you don't really need it. All right, example number 7. Factor it. If you have the answer, check with someone else that has their hand up that you can start on the homework. probably pause the recording too. All right, to help us out, u plus v times u minus v. What is this equal to? Look at the formula at the very front of the page, all the way back here. I have u plus v, u minus v. What does that equal? So let's come back down here. U plus v and u minus v is what? With a quiet raised hand. I can't call on Charles or Wyatt anymore because they are done. What is u plus v, u minus v? It's a conjugate pair. Conjugate pair always turns into, Jade? Really close. U squared minus v squared. So this is the form that I'm currently given. I have a u squared and I have a v squared. I need to get back to a normal u without a square. So to get from a u squared to a u, I again take the square root. In order to get from a v squared to a v, I take the square root. So color coding this thing as always, 81w to the power of 2, that is our u squared. It matches up with this u squared. I'm going to do the same operation in order to get to the u. I'm going to take the square root of 81w to the power of 2 or 12. 81w to the power of 12. I'm going to square root that, and I get what? Andres? 9w to the power of 6. Perfect. 9w to the power of 6. And the same operation for this c plus 7 to the power of 4. I need to square root it. Square root it. Who can do that for us? Jose? It would be, yeah, so it's still the same thing, c plus 7, but instead of to the power of 4, it's to the power of 2. We're done. We did all the heavy lifting. Just plug it back into that form. So I have my u, which is my 9w to the power of 6, plus v times u, which is 9w to the power of 6, minus v. And what is v? V is this c plus 7 quantity squared. This c plus 7 quantity squared. Done. That concludes the notes. I'm back. Yeah. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, I'm back. Questions? Sergio, question.
Why is it squared is very good?
Why do you think so?
Doesn't it cancel?
No, so you want to just plug it back into this form. So there's a v, there's a v. They do cancel out in terms of a middle term. There's no third term here. But if I multiply this term by this term, I get back to here. Remember, we're factoring, we're kind of pulling it back apart. Jay, can you ask the question too? I know that you're confused. You ask your question after Andres. Go for it, Andres. Oh yeah, I'll come around and say that in a second. Any other questions? I want to answer all these questions as much as possible. I'm pushing you guys farther than I've pushed people before because I know that you guys can do it. You guys are hard workers. You guys have been giving me those strong fists of 5s. You've been doing pretty good on the quizzes and tests. Well, we haven't got to the test yet. You guys can do this. I believe in you guys. I'll end the recording then.